live. Why, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Last Newsdesk on the Left. I am your host, MacPaladin, and surprising the crew with a start time. Adam, what's up?
Still here for the moment. Currently watching the weather because, tropical storms in the vicinity.
Yeah, you were saying something about possibly losing power, and try to be advised.
Yeah, the lights have been flickering, so...
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, this promises to be a good show tonight. Tonight's episode is called Landscaping for All Seasons, as you may have seen in the title. Kevin, how do you feel about that?
Hey, I'm happy about it because, above all else, I'm coming to you from the newest blue state in America, Georgia.
God, that feels weird.
Well, we can only hope on,
ladies and gentlemen.
we can only hope on January 5th, though.
Yeah, well, at this point, just the fact that we got it blue presidentially is a miracle upon high, especially considering that it's a bigger win than Clinton got in '92. So.
Right, but hopefully we can eject 2 Reds in January.
Yeah, hopefully, but it's gonna be really tough. We're gonna work our damn this year, but more on that in a minute.
All right. Petty fan,
Hi, I exist.
Alex.
I think he died.
Alex has been ejected.
I'm here too and had my mic muted because I didn't want you guys to be hearing me coughing.
Oh,
Boy.
I was clearing my throat a little bit.
yeah.
Twilight, what's cooking?
Not much here. Just, not much really. Just keeping warm since it's a cold night.
So, yeah, lawsuits, astroturfing, fascism goes to die between a porn shop and a crematorium.
Appropriate place.
I feel bad for the crematorium and the porn shop. Now, they had to be.
I don't feel bad for the porn
Fucking
shop.
Julie.
This is probably business gold for them.
True.
This may be business gold for the
There's a
land
joke.
building
You
shop.
sandbagged it. You sandbagged it cheap.
Oh, jeez.
Never mind.
Sandbagging, huh? Well, I mean, sandbagging is definitely what the president is trying to do. Him and his allies seem to be astroturfing over this victory for Biden, attempting to convince everybody that only the votes cast for Trump were legal and all the votes for Joe were not legal. The problem is if they throw all those ballots out, doesn't that also invalidate the Senate races, the House races, the propositions, and local judges and sheriffs and some governors?
The problem here is you're using actual logic here.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I need to go
The only
to
logic
Giuliani.
here is Trump good, everything else bad.
Yeah.
Pretty
I
much.
gotta go to Giuliani mode here. Okay.
That's what the level of articulation we're getting.
Yeah.
Hey, and New Yorkers have found an all-new reason to hate Giuliani again.
They needed a new one?
It's like,
Just
yeah,
saying.
it's like,
They had forgotten about him largely.
yeah, it's like 9/11 was the best damn thing to happen to Rudy, and I'm being serious about that, because if 9/11 hadn't happened, Rudy Giuliani would be the mayor that dumped his wife at a press conference without her finding out beforehand.
Yeah.
But at least she didn't find out beforehand. I mean, mission
Before
accomplished.
before 9/11, Rudy Giuliani was the mayor who tried to enforce jaywalking. I knew New Yorkers who fucking hated him over.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he was there on 9/11, and then so that means he was America's mayor, and then it turns out Wait, you gave the firefighters and the police officers inadequate equipment? Wait, you put the Office of Emergency Management in a terrorist target? Wait a minute.
Wait. You mean
You're
this is not the
completely
first time that
insane.
wait. You mean this is not the first time that he's failed to issue proper PPE? Oh,
Turns out. It's funny how that works.
History repeating itself, it seems.
Mhm.
Oh my god. So yeah, this whole week. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Been on the edge of my seat, waiting for a
Mhm.
whole lot of nothing. It's a tale told by a fool, filled with sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Macbeth, Act 5.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it a tale told by an idiot? I always forget that.
Yeah, whatever works.
Yeah, well, you guys talk amongst yourselves for a minute. I'm trying to clear up my eyes here. I can't see straight.
Right.
Well, I suppose
It's idiot,
you
apparently.
know.
Okay,
It's what now?
it's a tale told by an idiot. Moving on.
Yeah.
Thank you for the update, though. Adam.
Anyway, I'm like, so flipping the coin from Trump is losing news, Biden is continuing to act like the president-elect because he's the president-elect.
Mhm.
He's named longtime advisor Robert Klein as the new White House chief of staff, or the pending, however that title works out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pending. Yeah.
like,
Incoming, I think it's the word. Incoming.
anyway, his most notable role in the Obama years was being head of the Ebola task force.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see why he's
Symmetry.
picked for this particular job.
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume a baseline level of competency with Biden appointees and picks.
I suspect
because
we're going to see a lot of continuity with the Obama administration.
So here's the thing. He will, at very minimum, consider if the person is good at their job rather than just how much money or whatever they could make him.
yeah,
Or
right.
or how much connection to the family he or she has. Or
Yeah.
or not have, or he's not going to be getting people he sees on TV.
God.
Well, I don't understand how he's going to run his administration without his whole family being in the cabinet. I mean, what level of competency could he possibly attain by having people who worked in the Obama administration for 8 years? What kind of qualifications is that?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have any patents pending in China.
Yeah. You mean he's going to be corruption free?
Yeah. Surprise.
Yeah. I'm like,
I do want to dispel one bit of narrative, though. The Obama administration did actually have a couple of scandals. They just weren't very good
or interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Benghazi, for all of its bluster, was a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
The tan suit was an outrage, harkening back to Reagan. How dare he emulate Reagan? And Fast and Furious was unresolved. There was the whole FBI and Secret Service agents buying hookers.
Oh yeah.
And last year, the White House counsel under Obama was indicted on fraud charges. So we really need to stop putting that meme out there that Obama was the perfect president. It's like, look, it's okay that he was imperfect. That's not the point.
Well, actually, I don't think that the indictment came until after he was out of office, because nobody was indicted, nobody was arrested from the Obama administration, which is actually really unusual for a presidential administration.
Yeah.
Right, but to say it was absolutely zero scandals, come on.
I mean,
again, I understand the point. I understand the point.
I'd say
the point, but it doesn't help the cause when you fudge.
Yeah. perhaps the biggest scandal that nobody cared about was the drone strikes, or Obama's own immigration policies. But all that kind of got topped and then some by the walking nightmare.
Well, right, which is my point. It's not that his administration was scandal free. It's just that none of it was terribly interesting. Everything we've been bombarded by the Trump administration since before he even took office.
Yeah.
No, I know. Never forget, Trump is the third president to be impeached.
Yeah.
Now, I know that surprisingly has already kind of been forgotten because of so much shit that happened over the past year. But remember, a year ago, the House was doing its impeachment investigation, and that's what was on the top of the news. Because Trump feared Biden so much that he had to invent a scandal, and there's just so much shit. Refuge and audacity, indeed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the scandal they invented is amazing because it's built around something that Biden himself has been cleared on multiple times.
Yeah.
On both sides of the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
And by independent fact-checking sources and literally every credible source in the universe, including the Ukrainian president at the time.
Yeah.
And the head of Burisma.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the head of Burisma's lieutenants.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous that we're still going on this, and to which I would say, even let's say he did actually manage to prove a connection between Joe Biden and the head of Burisma. So fucking what?
Mm-hmm.
I said, it's like, oh wow, you got one thing. Let's count up all the offenses on your side. Let's engage in Republicans' favorite game. Yeah, let's engage in the Republicans' absolute all-time favorite pastime of whataboutism and say, well, what about your guy? It's like it's they're
what
not
about
comparable.
Your man? What about your man? What about his children? What about
a politician used his influence to get a little piece of graft. It's like, well, then I guess we have to expel the entirety of the Senate and the House.
Yeah.
Forget impeachment. Just run them out on rails.
Yeah.
Straight to the guillotine, and we'll just have it going chop, 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 nonstop.
Yeah. A lot of dirty hands.
We'll chop those off too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after all, we are under Sharia law, right? Wait. That wasn't the narrative.
No.
But I mean, to hear them say it, we are, right?
Yeah.
I think Christianity did a little bit of hand chopping in the beginning too. So
yeah, in the early days, yeah.
So it's it's like that overly literal. If your hand constitutes a sin, chop it off. Wait a minute. There we go. So so I'm just not sure what to make of any of this stuff. But we better make something of it because we got 46 more minutes to fill.
There's no shortage of things to fill. It's just kind of a lot of it's the Trump after party because their cries of fraud aren't panning out because it's one thing to use these claims to grift the marks, take money from the boobs, but these motherfuckers are actually going to court, and it's like if you actually pay attention to the court cases, they're not actually claiming voter fraud, or they're doing things that won't put their law licenses in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Because if they if they actually try to parrot Trump's bylines here, that could get them disbarred. Like
filing a false claim, claims without evidence. One report that I had heard was that at this point, the Trump legal team, short of actually saying, fuck this shit, I'm out,
Yeah.
Is going through the motions of just going to court, and the president is not really privy to what they actually say until he reads it in the news or sees it on the TV.
Yeah.
At this point, it's inevitable that he's hearing about it, because even Fox News is talking about it negatively.
Yeah.
Unless he's abandoned Fox News completely, because in his mind they've abandoned him, and he's only paying attention to The Blaze or OAN or
OAN.
Yeah, I mean, are they even talking about these dismissals?
Probably not.
You would think that a man whose adult life has been made of transactional relationships would understand how that would work, but he is that much an egotistical monster. Like,
Right.
These motherfuckers like him and are, enamored with his persona, the way his cult is. No.
See, I don't think it's just that. He put a lot of judges in, and he's thinking that the judges that he put in must be the ones that are ruling on all these cases. And obviously, since he put them in, they're going to do him a favor on this, which isn't how judges work.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also not how transactions.
Some of me thought that, considering the Federal Society is a little cuckoo, that maybe, that cuckoo would work for him. But unfortunately, there's a line.
I mean, he apparently thought or something that he could just go straight to the Supreme Court with this somehow, which is not ever how that works. The Supreme Court only ever sees things that have been passed up.
Yeah, and one of the underreported elements of that is that they've actually punted on this twice now.
Yeah.
They've kicked it back to the lower courts in Pennsylvania, effectively upholding their ruling.
Because, see, what the Pennsylvania Secretary of State did was smart and pretty much took all of the ballots that were pretty much going to be a target to the side and say, hey, we're going to put these to the side because in case they're dropped out, it's not going to affect our count. And it turns out it would only be 10,000 and it wouldn't do a damn thing, a bit of difference. So,
even if they were all for Trump, he would still lose.
Yeah.
Also, which state was it where the senators or something tried to get asked the Secretary of State or whatever to resign?
That was Georgia.
Yeah, because
that was Georgia.
Yeah,
Loeffler and what was the other guy's name?
Purdue.
Yeah, a couple of twats.
George. Comes from George. George, Secretary of State. I didn't know that John F. Kennedy Jr.'s magazine was still running. Well, then again, QAnon believes that John F. Kennedy Jr. is alive somewhere, so...
Along with Elvis and the aliens?
Yeah.
I suppose
the response. Bigfoot.
Sorry, Adam. What?
One of the numerous good things that's coming out of the election result is, QAnon is fracturing. Because, not only did these motherfuckers never expect this kind of thing to ever happen, but the big Q has been silent since election night. And without their giant reptilian space god or whatever the fuck that they believe at this particular moment in time, they're kind of lacking direction.
Well, it doesn't matter anyway, considering they got 2 believers in Congress, so they won it at the end of the day.
Right, but it's more a question of how much longer is QAnon actually going to be a thing, because remember...
we'll see what happens. Maybe Trump goes out there and says, I'll be back, I got cheated out, I'll be back, and they'll keep running, and then Trump will go...
Except
that still wouldn't be QAnon, though.
Right.
You gotta understand, there's something very specific about QAnon that separates it from other conspiracy theories, and that is the whole deep state. It's
yeah, that's right.
remember, it was a way to explain all of like the deficiencies of, how to be against the government with Donald J. Trump in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and,
like,
and then the whole point is that they were like explaining how stuff was going to go, and saying that there was no way that it wouldn't go that way, and it just didn't go that way.
I mean, the Huns are at the gate for Trump too. This nonsense that Newsweek was peddling about him being an effective force in politics. I said, from where? From Rikers fucking Island? Like Gotti? Is he gonna be running the Republican Party from prison? Because I don't think people realize literally how many subpoenas and indictments are waiting for him at 12:01 on January 20th. He's going to be fucking wallpapered to death with paperwork, and he's going to be fighting. If he thinks he's fighting legal battles now, he's never fucking seen what's about to hit him.
Right. Because guess what? He's out of power and nobody has any use for him. Like Deutsche Bank, the last bank that would give him fucking loans, is calling in his loans in a few years. Like, and just among other things. And apparently, Trump is going to direct the Republican Party via a PAC. So, like everyone else does.
Yeah.
But that's going to be the only way he's going to be able to do it, because he's going to be a disenfranchised voter. Soon enough, once he's wearing once he's wearing a new shade of orange.
God willing. God willing.
I mean, unless he flees the country.
Which could also happen. Like, I haven't discounted the whole Donald Trump flees into the night to, say, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It's certainly a popular play in the Dictator Handbook. The problem is that it requires having somewhere to flee to that still likes you.
I mean, even Haiti, after the shithole country bit, isn't probably going to take.
Although the fact that the Saudi royals congratulated Biden on like the first night after he was called the president-elect, kind of probably might put that into the picture.
Which means that his foreign interference allies are wavering too. I mean, even they say Putin didn't congratulate Biden, but it's like, are you sure about that? Because I thought I heard something that said, well, we look forward to working with the new administration.
Yeah, they've pretty much been parroting the same, voter fraud type shit. But it's like, that'll change soon enough.
Right.
I mean, the silence is. I mean, it's been pretty silent from over there, except for the whole, there's voter fraud, we don't trust it. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I think
they know. They know.
And the Philippines, also Mexico's been silent, but apparently they're just waiting for actual.
It turns out
they're apparently waiting for actual certification.
Well, it turns out that Mexico will build the wall at their own expense after all, but they're going to do it on their side to keep the right-wing Americans from fleeing across the border.
They go to Mexico, all right. Oh, wait, I thought we were supposed to hate Mexico. What?
Meanwhile, the northern ice wall will be going up shortly.
Yeah.
Because even the White Walkers are like, woo!
When do we get our emotional support Canadians, though?
There's not enough of them to go around. They'd only be able to work on 10% of the population.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Shit is right. Yeah, there's only about 38 million Canadians to 360 million Americans, so...
They could have a group and target specific groups. So,
yeah. It'll be a group thing. This is not the channel for that.
I guess in non-executive news, the Supreme Court's back in session, and the much ballyhooed ACA lawsuit had oral arguments on Tuesday, and like
which apparently Roberts and Kavanaugh seem to be leaning towards keeping it intact, and just
mostly intact.
Yeah, what looks like it's going to happen is they're going to take out the individual mandate part of it, which has been zeroed out since that tax bill in 2017, and really hasn't made much of a difference ACA wise. And they'll just take that out and keep the law itself.
Right.
Which,
because
I was very much surprised that Kavanaugh was the one to put up the escape hatch. Like, I was kind of expecting that maybe Roberts would find a way out of it, but I didn't think he would have any backup. Especially for Beer Man.
Yeah. Adam, you were
I guess
say something?
Somebody had to realize that, if these motherfuckers actually overturn the ACA, they're going they're going to be slaughtered in the next midterms. Yeah. Just absolute bloodbath, which is what happened in 2018. Remember, we got the blue wave out of Republicans trying to take away healthcare in 2017.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I've seen a lot of people floating the opinion that because we didn't hard flip the Senate, that the so-called public mandate to the Democratic Party is a little strained. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
My thought is that other people have declared greater mandates for much less cause.
Right, yeah. Well, on the one hand, even if we get 50-50, and even if Georgia flips its 2 senators down here, I really don't think that we're going to get as much as we want to get, or that we should get, even in a 50-50 situation. I mean, I'm hoping that we flip them both, but even if we don't, I mean, it's probably not going to make a big damn difference, because we all were hoping for maybe 4 or 5 seats flip, but that did not happen. So basically, we're stuck with a pretty much a Senate that's either 50-50 with enough of 1 or 2 Democrats to perhaps grind things to a halt in terms of big, bold things, or a Republican Senate that probably won't touch anything unless Joe Biden gets Manchin, Sinema, Collins, and Murkowski in a room and gets stuff done with that quartet. Because I think that's what's going to happen, whether we get 50-50 or 52-48. I mean, it's going to be Susan, Lisa, Manchin, and Sinema in a room, maybe others too, and get stuff done, because otherwise Joe Biden's going to be hammering on a do-nothing Senate for 2 years. That's basically what's going to happen.
I think Susan Collins won. I was listening on NPR, and apparently the combination of being one of the people who was involved with the paycheck projection thing, which didn't go great, but at least she tried. At least she got her name on it, and also she might have somewhat made up for her approving of one bad judge with giving a token finger shake at another bad justice. So
I mean, she apparently did enough. So but the thing about it is that
plus Mainers are very
That's a good description right there.
Mainers don't like people who, like, you're not a real Mainer if you haven't lived in Maine for like 2 generations. And unfortunately, Sarah Gideon is from Rhode Island, so some people.
Rhode Island heresy.
So yeah, looking there, those are some of the reasons why that went that way. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's going to be a transactional presidency, whether it's 50-50 or 52-48. It really doesn't matter which way it goes. It's going to be a transactional presidency, no matter what.
Yeah.
Let's just hope Biden remembers not to start off the transactions by giving a bunch before seeing what he'll actually.
I don't think no, he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. I mean, he's there. He was there the last time that
he has a good personal relationship and shit with Mitch McConnell. Yeah, but
he's not going to.
That's going to matter. I don't think that's going to matter.
I hope not.
No, I don't think he's going to be.
I hope that at least means
No,
that
it
when he
doesn't.
talks
It
to
doesn't
Mitch,
matter.
he'll give him straight. You're gonna have to
Okay.
give me something.
It doesn't matter what their prior relationship is because McConnell doesn't care. McConnell says, if you thought I was the Grim Reaper before, just wait till you get a load of me now. It was basically a statement.
Well, and if that's the case, then Biden will then say, "Hey, I can't do anything because this guy right here is stopping me."
Calling out obstruction. All right,
Yeah,
but calling out obstructionism obviously hasn't worked for 20 years, so I don't understand why anybody would use that tactic now. If I were Biden, I would
They elected these Republicans to be a check, and there's a difference between being a check and being a wall.
I'm not sure everyone believes that.
My contention is that Biden would be best served by just doing a flurry of executive orders the way Trump did, and then calling them laws, and then saying, "Look at all that I did," because that's about the only thing he's going to do for 2 years.
Look, I think that's what he's going to do. Honestly, I think.
However,
he's going to try to do He's going to try to do deals because he has to try to do deals because that's his brand. And if it doesn't pan out that way, he goes the executive route, and at the same time, points to them and say, "Hey, I want to do big things. I want to do deals with these people, but they don't want to do deals with me. You voted them to be a check on me, but they're not a check. They are a wall preventing me from doing what I should be doing and what you want me to do."
See, the slight problem with that is that a lot of the other side consider the response to that, which is, well, he wouldn't give us everything we want, so we can't give him anything, to be a legitimate and fair argument.
Well, unfortunately, there are going to be people, but the people who voted for him and say, "Look, this is not compromise. You know what compromise is." He won by 5 million votes. He's going to win by like 5 million votes at this point. So it's like there were people that voted for him, but also voted for Republicans because in their mind, because a lot of them are not plugged into the politics every single day of the week because they got lives to live. They think that we're still in a world where Republicans and Democrats can get into a room and make a deal. That's just what way too many people think. I'm not talking about the people who watch Fox. I'm not talking about the hardcore bases of parties. I'm talking about the percentage, talking about the independent voters who voted for the president and probably also voted for Republicans because in their mind, even though it is a fallacious, not true statement, they still believe that Democrats and Republicans can get into a room and make a deal. Those are the people that Biden has to talk to. And the reason that he can make this argument, like you say, it hasn't worked for 20 years, the last time that someone was able to easily effectively make this argument, he was a white man. Let's just be fair about it.
So, does anybody want to play the steamroller backing up noise?
I don't have it on me at the moment.
Beep.
I had to go on that because it's just I just want people to be realistic here.
I'm being very realistic. I just don't understand why anybody's like, "Oh yeah, let's be a deal maker," when obviously that's not going to work. But I think Adam was going to give us a more measured response.
Sorry, it's just.
Yeah, my response is just Mitch McConnell. Like, right. I think that motherfucker.
You got to get around him.
Let Adam finish the sentence, please.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch McConnell, does he have any incentive to change his tactics? Do you think he actually gives a shit about how many votes Biden won by or any sort of mandate? No, he doesn't. Okay, he has shown that he doesn't. He's going to be fucking obstructionist. And Biden is going to have to figure out the messaging on that, full stop, because and they're going to revive old arguments. They're already pivoting to the old chestnut of fucking austerity. They're going to fucking talk about the debt, the deficit, expect that shit to return full fucking stop. I'm like,
look. My argument does not discount that at all. I firmly think that Mitch McConnell is going to be Mitch McConnell.
yeah.
And I firmly believe that Joe Biden is going to first try to work around him, and then if that doesn't work, he'll just point it out for what it is.
No. Biden needs to fucking pin coronavirus relief blockage on Mitch McConnell and the fucking Republicans.
Look,
that's it. That's what needs to be done. Because these motherfuckers are going to blame the Dems for not getting shit passed, especially now that they're in charge.
They gotta put the bill on the floor first.
No, their tactics aren't fucking unknown. No, obviously that Biden and the Democrats have every intention of being reasonable. The motherfucker here isn't fucking reasonable. That is the problem.
I'm not saying at all that that's not going to be the case. Firstly, you have to put a bill on the damn floor before you can make this argument that the Republicans are blocking shit. You got to put the bill on the floor.
Right, and they got to get past the justice. They got to get past the justice Dems in order to do that. They got to get past the justice Dems.
Or they could just tell them to go shove it.
They can't do that because their lead narrowed. The margin of votes that they got in the previous midterm election in the House has narrowed, so now they have to work with those justice Dems in order to make sure that they don't get Republican obstruction in the House, preventing bills from even getting to the Senate.
Well, then if they want to be blamed for coronavirus, then they can be blamed too, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to have to attack them and Republicans at the same time.
Just wanted to be clear on that point.
Well, then they'll have to get their spotlight and screwing things up just as much as Republicans do.
Get out the hangers, because we're going to put it on everybody.
That being said, the Justice Dems aren't the fucking Freedom Caucus, okay? Like they're not going to hold up.
That's why I'm not talking about them, because they're not going to put their stand on coronavirus relief. I don't think.
No,
that would be a weird flex and a strange hill to die on.
Yes, they're not going to do it on that.
That's the kind of thing the Freedom Caucus would absolutely.
Right. But not that. Not with this. Not with coronavirus relief. And what I'm saying is that, first you have to put a bill on the floor because it's a new Congress, so you have to. Meaning, when the new Congress comes, the bills from the old Congress don't matter anymore.
I don't think that's ever. I don't think that's ever been the concern.
Right.
As long as the House
the bill's going to be put on the floor,
hands, those kind of bills are going.
The bill's going to be put on the floor, and if Mitch McConnell and them tries to screw around, Biden is not going to say, "Oh well, no." He's going to go after them. Period. That's what he's going to do. First, he's going to try to make the deal with a group of senators that he thinks that he could work with, and I think that he can too. If that doesn't pan out, you attack them. And Joe Biden can make that attack a lot better than Barack Obama can, because Joe Biden is a white man.
Fair enough.
Well, right. And another thing is, I think, yeah, okay, he's lost his bids for the presidency before, but I think that's because it wasn't the right time for angry Uncle Joe to take everybody to the woodshed.
Right. When you have a situation where it involves a economy in a free fall and a goddamn pandemic that's going to probably kill upwards up to 300,000 people by the time he puts his hand on the Bible.
Right.
There's no playing games. There's no, it's like if you're going to put a Stonewall in front of me, I'm going to call you out. There's no BSing anymore. And I would point to everybody the way that the Obama-Biden administration treated Republicans in the second term versus how they treated them in the first term. There was a complete and total difference.
Right.
Like, the first term, there was, okay, well, let's see if we can cut big deals, and they did cut deals that, kind of cringy in hindsight. After Manchin Toomey fell apart in 2012, it was a completely different ballgame. They didn't even they went more hardball after that. It became clear after that if kids getting murdered won't move you, what will? Okay, then. So look, Biden's saying all the things about compromise and everything else because, well, it won it for him. So I think he's going to try at least to do it, and then when it doesn't work, well, here we go.
We gave it our best shot.
Yeah, I gave it my best shot. I tried. They don't want to talk to me. Look what they're doing here. They're stonewalling in very important things that we need to do. But I tried.
I just wish shame actually worked on Republican politicians.
Well, it doesn't
Used-
work. Well, it's
The
still
Trump
working.
hurricane calloused that shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about shaming them. It's just pointing shit out. It's not about shaming anybody.
Well,
Like, you
that's,
can't shame them. You have to attack them. You know.
I think you're splitting hairs on definitions there. Calling somebody out for their misdeeds
Yeah.
is shaming them by definition.
Maybe it is, but I don't think that you can shame them, but you still have to attack them regardless.
Right.
Maybe it doesn't work, but you still got to do it because otherwise you're not.
You're
being
weak. You're
soft.
weak in the eyes of the public.
Yes. You gotta fight for your position.
We also need to make it so that way, if the Democrats do manage to get control of the Senate, we need to actually make it so that for once they can actually manage to hold this advantage for 2 straight terms.
Well,
Because-
that probably will be hard because of the fact that a lot of people voted split ticket. Redistricting is going to be a nightmare.
Right, and that's the thing that always bugs me because it's like they've never managed to. It seems like the Democrats have never managed to hold the House for more than 2 terms, and the Senate for more than 1.
Yeah, well,
they are going to be doing some redistricting.
yeah, they could.
So we'll see if that comes out in a more balanced way than it sometimes has.
Oh, they could. Oh, trust me, they're licking their chops, and people who voted split ticket thinking that there could be compromise, well, they got another thing coming.
And I do mean that in actually balanced in the reality has a well-known liberal bias way.
Anyway, as enlightening as all the politics has been, it's probably best to shift over to some entertainment stuff because, well, some big names have died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's so, what, in the past week, we've lost Sean Connery, we've lost Alex Trebek, and we've lost Ken Spears. Probably don't know that last name offhand. One half of the duo of Ruby and Spears. If you're a certain age, they probably produced, a cartoon you watched. Like
Statistically, if you watched cartoons at all, they probably did one
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, you've come across one production of theirs.
Right. I mean, just on their own, they things like Fangface, Thundar the Barbarian. They did the U.S. version of Mega Man.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ouch.
Well,
Not
the
the
funny
worst
thing about
thing.
the US version of Mega Man is they actually had a much more faithful to the Japanese version in the pilot, and they did that and they focus tested it with executives or whatever, and the version that they ended up putting out was more favorable
Yeah.
Yeah.
in that era.
Probably the greatest contribution overall that Ruby Spears did was they were the people who created Scooby-Doo. They were the ones who outlined the concept and everything.
Yeah. It took 3 drafts, but we got Scooby-Doo.
I'm like,
Yeah, they were the ones that created Scooby-Doo.
Oh yeah, because the first 2 drafts they were also a band, right?
Yeah, first draft was basically a straight up Archie show ripoff,
Yep.
but then they went to the second one, which was basically, still a band, but now it's modeled off Adobe Gillis. And then the third one, they're modeled off Gillis, and then it's just simply dropping the music part altogether.
No. Third time out, let's rip off the Monkees as well. Hint. You know that music montage thing where everyone's running around? That came from the Monkees.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it would be that big a one compared to the Archie original.
No,
I mean,
it's
not,
like 5 minutes,
but
it's not the biggest thing that they ripped off. But if you've seen the Monkees and where that came from, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like the first, that's the opening intro sequence instead of.
No. I'm
the thing they did in most episodes where there's a period where the thing where the fucking hallway with going back and forth and coming out of the wrong doors comes from.
Or the middle part.
That specific thing came from that. Kind of one of the bigger things that, ironically enough, Scooby-Doo is known for. But once again,
they
could go on with what Ruby and Spears worked on, both on Hanna-Barbera productions and their own productions. They did stuff like they worked on Space Ghost, the Herculoids, Goldie Gold and Action Jack, phenomenally underrated cartoon. Probably best known for in the 80s for their version of Alvin and the Chipmunks. They did Sectars. They, for some goddamn reason, did Rubik the Amazing Cube.
Rubik Cube was a popular toy, and they had to merchandise it somehow.
I know. I'm like, they're the ones who saved Plastic Man because they're the ones who did the Plastic Man show. Once again, you might think some of these things were from Hanna-Barbera. That's because, these Ruby and Spears cut their teeth on Hanna-Barbera production. So what they were doing wasn't all that dissimilar for a lot of, It's also, Hanna-Barbera actually owns the Ruby Spears catalog with some exceptions.
They basically Hanna-Barbera bought Ruby Spears out, and then Hanna-Barbera itself got bought out. So
their last production, their last full production was the Sky Surfer Strike Force or Strike Squad. Like that. It was a 90s toyetic franchise that existed.
It is, in fact, Sky Surfer Strike Force, so they're not competing with Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad for the Quadruple S thing.
Right. But, I do remember watching that series back in the day, and it was a 90s cartoon series. Anyway, I suppose, Alex Trebek.
Yeah, meanwhile, Alex Trebek and Sean Connery are probably having fun reenacting the Saturday Night Live sketches in whatever afterlife they ended up in.
Did they actually know each other in real life?
No.
That's the funny part.
No, he said on numerous occasions that they've not spoken to each other at all. So, which I'm probably not surprised, considering there's a good decade difference in age and also an entire ocean. So,
just St. Peter is actually a really big fan of Saturday Night Live. So
I don't know.
he made them do a few of them before he let them in, or whatever.
That's highly debatable.
I'm kidding.
Also worth noting that it should not be lost that Sean Connery was a titanic piece of shit when it came to women.
Yes.
Yep.
The only thing I kind of regret is that he won't live to see the S&P whip some ass next year.
Unfortunate.
He's a big Scottish nationalist.
Yes, he was. It's also Sean Connery, good actor, not so much the best businessman.
Yeah.
He's kind of legendarily famous for passing on, roles that he was going to be like the original Morpheus or he was going to be picked for Gandalf. These are both things that he passed on. What he passed them for? The 90s Avengers series, not Marvel, the old British television series.
Yeah.
You forgot that movie existed, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't forget it.
I mean, when
Razzies
you
did
think,
he get for that?
that's a big name. That's a big name in Britain. That series was a big thing in Britain in the 60s. So you thought, maybe.
Fairness is where he's from, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
you gotta think
it's not a
you gotta
bad.
think about that too.
It's not a bad series, but I mean the pairing of Ray Fiennes and Uma Thurman.
I mean,
How many
like,
Razzies did Connery get for that? Did it rival his Untouchables performance?
I don't know, but it's like that's the other thing you have to think about. It's that he's in Britain, and if he gets a role that for that country, for that area, sounds like a big deal.
Well,
You're
I'm
not
just
gonna pass it up.
right. But here's the thing about the Avengers movie is that it's an American attempt at recreating a British property.
And yeah, obviously it didn't
And
work.
I think at that point, no
shit.
further. Yeah, I think the term "sucking shit through a straw" usually comes into play at that point.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It's like when you favorably compare Michael Bay films, like in roughly the same era to that, because I believe The Rock came out in '96 and the Avengers came out in '97. Or maybe '98. Yeah.
I mean, it probably feels that late. I'm talking about
when you give a Michael Bay movie the onus necessary to leapfrog it into the Criterion Collection because your subsequent films suck so hard. Adam's still fuming over that because we talked about this on MSP that two Michael Bay films made it into the Criterion Collection. In which case, you want to talk about?
I don't really care.
You want to talk about fraud and voter suppression?
Yeah. Yeah.
Some brilliant person said those movies need to be in there because they represent Americana at its finest.
Yeah. Anyway, Sean Connery's worst business decision was passing on Gandalf to appear in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the one where the story is that he just passed on roles that he didn't get.
Yeah.
But he did Zardoz. So what does that say about him?
I mean, he's also a weirdo. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, that's not helping him with the whole he had business sense. I mean, for fuck's sakes, he was dragged into Highlander 2.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Like I said, Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean Connery is a fine actor, but he's been in a lot of shit films.
I like the fandom's assumption though that somehow Highlander got better after they made more movies. I just want to point this out that if they didn't just left that alone after the second one and just said, "I'm not touching that bomb with a 100-kilometer pulse." Yeah, I just want to state that for the record. Multiple attempts to save the franchise after that. Because the best way to accomplish that is to make Mario Van Peebles your villain in the next film. We're gonna reboot this concept with an even worse villain. I mean, seriously, how do you fuck that up? I mean, Michael Ironside was hired to do what Michael Ironside does best, which is be a thug. And it was actually a very satisfying ending. I managed to make it through that movie multiple times. I have it on VHS. I'll watch it again. But Especially when he grabs the dude by the balls and throws him over the balcony edge. You know, so denigrated at your peril. I'm just saying. Because that opens up a whole can of worms to the rest of the franchise. Which was made on a made-for-TV movie budget.
And of course, Sean Connery dying was one thing, and then about a week later, Alex Trebek died.
Yeah, which is just, you know, heartbreaking because you know, he was still doing the Jeopardy thing.
Yeah,
like he actually cut his last tapings 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm actually more bummed about that because, I mean, you know, in fairness, Sean Connery's career was over. He retired. He stayed away. He went on to do. He went on. He had a full career and a full life. So we never like to see anybody that we like go, but at the same time, you know.
Yeah, he was pretty much done.
He did his bit for king and country, as the expression goes. Whereas Trebek,
although
still
probably wouldn't say that to him because he would probably look at you in the eye evilly because he's a Scottish nationalist. So
I made that reference deliberately.
yeah. But anyway.
But as far as Trebek, even at age 80, even though he had a full life, he was still living his best life.
Yeah, he was trying to get to the end of his contract at the very least, the end of this current season. But
well, I mean, he's been going on like really bad cancer for longer than was expected, I believe.
Yeah, he was trying to work towards 2 years, but just didn't get there.
Imagine that a person with so much integrity that he wants to finish out his contract even though he's dying.
Yeah, I mean, that show probably kept it. That Jeopardy was what probably kept it going as long as he did. Frankly, because doing Jeopardy is probably much fun than most other things, especially when you've been doing the same job for 36 years.
Well, I don't know. Let's ask Bob Barker.
Yeah, I mean, he lasted. He lasted.
I think Jeopardy is also one of the more fun, or Jeopardy seems like it would be one of the more fun game shows to host. Also.
Well, yeah, because see, the thing about game shows is that you have to have a good format in order for a show to succeed. Yeah, you could have a good host, an exciting host, and everything else, but if the game show itself has a format that is either not fun or too complicated or whatever, it just doesn't work.
They made a heady quiz show into entertainment that everybody could consume.
Yeah, with Jeopardy, the format is basically we give you the questions, you give us the answers. I mean, or we give you the answers, you give us the questions. Because basically it goes back.
And sometimes the questions or the answers have a lot of like leading information. If you're good at the game, you can sometimes pick that up, even if you don't actually know the trivia.
Well, like I said, they turned ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Like I said, they turned a heady quiz show into something that everybody could enjoy.
Yeah, because the thing with Jeopardy is that the thing about Jeopardy that nobody's pretty much saying, which I think is actually kind of stupid, is that this isn't really a show. This is a revival. What we've been talking about for the last 36 years was a revival of a show that was launched in the 1960s, that was hosted by Art Fleming for 16 years.
Art Fleming.
Yeah.
Art Fleming gave the answers, but I couldn't get the questions right.
I mean, if you want to know the answer to the question, can Jeopardy outlast Alex Trebek? And the answer is yes, because Alex Trebek was not the first host of this show. The show has been lasted for
he was like the third or fourth. That's it. Alex Trebek was doing it for like 30 plus years.
He was doing it for 36 years, but the format itself will allow for anybody with charisma that can interact with the contestants, that can make it fun and not boring, continue the show for another decade plus.
You
if
don't
not
have to know the trivia shit. You got staff for that. They didn't all
right.
die.
Right, exactly.
You
You've got
have to appreciate trivia, and you have to
right,
appreciate the incredibly stupid jokes that they write. But
right. You got
that's
Yeah, but I mean, part of the fun of Jeopardy was actually Trebek's charisma and his
yeah,
snarky charm.
yeah.
Yeah.
sure, but I think you could find somebody who could do that. Honestly,
I think they floated
I
a
just think,
couple of names.
yeah.
I think
I
they
mean,
floated a couple of names already as people who could potentially
look, I think
deliver that
look,
kind of
this
performance.
job. Look, it's probably too early to say this, but let's be fair. This job is going to be highly coveted because Jeopardy is the highest rated show on television in terms of game shows, bar none outside of Family
there
Feud.
aren't many game shows left.
Right. Well, actually, that could change at any point because game shows are probably more cheaper, more easier to produce than dramas and everything else. It is
Possibly.
kind of a surprise that there isn't more.
Oh
honestly.
no, they still keep coming out with new game shows. Just the vast majority of them.
Yeah.
Well, the
Okay.
vast majority of them
Well,
don't
yeah.
make it past the pilot, and then most of them don't make it past a couple seasons.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's because a lot of them, have bad formats. So, but
We're going
Like, nobody's
we're
going to be
we're
remembering.
let's
we're
let's
going
let's
over time, and I got a couple of things to say about film production. So
All right.
let's
Right.
cut it off. Yeah.
Yep. All right, because yes, we were starting to go off on a tangent there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's cool. Anyway, so in Starship Moonhawk news, I put out a GoFundMe for the film we're working on, Survivor. I have a rough plan for getting this done by the end of March or April with my current financial situation being what it is and no investors. But I have put a GoFundMe out there, and we will be possibly looking into doing a Kickstarter. Now, they're not going to run concurrently. We're going to run the GoFundMe for a little while and then kind of let it fade to the background. And then whatever we don't get, we're going to roll into the Kickstarter. Anybody who contributes during the GoFundMe phase will work out equivalent rewards for whatever we end up devising for the actual Kickstarter phase. Assuming that it's actually successful, my last few Indiegogo campaigns weren't great, so I'm a little hesitant to try Kickstarter because it's an all or nothing deal. But we'll see what happens. As of yet, no donations, but the campaign currently has only been running for 5 hours, so we'll see how that goes. But we actually have been spending our time wisely while I'm waiting for the main artist for Survivor to finish their work. We have gone ahead and started putting together the opening credits sequence in lieu of second trailer for the candidate, aka the pilot for Cosmic Feline. And our new strategy going forward is going to be pretty succinct. As far as animated shows, we're going to focus exclusively on Covert Ops and Cosmic Feline because they have the most individual appeal. I think they would actually work for the YouTube audience. Whereas Starship Moonhawk is a little convoluted and heavy, so it's going to. I think the best course of action there is that it's going to remain a webcomic, bolstered by the novels, which we will gradually adapt into feature films as we go. So rather than trying to have a novel series and a comic series and a television series based on the same material in different time periods, I'm just going to let the existing media continue to run. And that way I'll feel a little better about continuing to write the novel series and leading up to the current timeline. So, but yeah, we're going to narrow our focus as far as adaptive television to Covert Ops as a short run, bite-sized look into the Starship Moonhawk universe, and then the Cosmic Feline is going to be our bigger budget comedy horror thing. We've got this kind of funny little pitch going for it. It's Buck Rogers married to Star Trek wrapped in Event Horizon. except without the production face faults. Yeah, it's Buck Rogers and Star Trek meets Army of Darkness. So we're gonna go for an adventure comedy horror thing going on there, with some really gross stuff. That's where the Event Horizon illusion comes in. Apparently, there's a VHS tape that exists that's 130 minutes. That's a 130-minute cut of the film. That has a tremendous amount of gore in it. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, we've already started writing episode 3 and scripting on the pilot, the candidate. It's gonna be done as a TV movie event, roughly 90 to 120 minutes, depending on how we go on that. So the equivalent of 2 episodes. So the candidate, even though it will be titled differently, is actually the official pilot of the Cosmic Feline series. It's going to be called The Candidate from the Files of Cosmic Feline, and then we'll just flip around the opening credits sequence so that way it has the Cosmic Feline based on Starship Moonhawk title. With the exact same theme song backing it. So yeah, we've got some fun stuff, but we're going to need some heavy-duty cash in order to make it actually work. So in the meantime, I've got Tanabata Usagi working on the Starship Moonhawk webcomic, which I will be resuming hopefully within the next week. I actually have a backlog of 6 pages now. Yeah. And I need to put Act 5 of the Mercadian Affair up on Drive-Thru Comics. That's it for entertainment news, as far as I know. Anybody have any last sign-off comments before we go?
I think we've said all we need to say this week.
All right, then. Well, on behalf of the crew at Last News Desk on the Left, I'm MacPaladin.